We're good. Okay, the meeting's called to order. Chad, are you going to do the roll call?
Chairperson Philip Goldstein.
Here.
Vice Chairperson Marty Jost. Here. Commissioner Lisa Bard.
Here.
Commissioner Eric Westland.
Here.
Commissioner Robert Oxmacher.
Present.
Alternate Tom Wood.
Here.
And alternate Jeremy Holt.
Here.
Thank you. Commissioners, any amendments to the agenda? Staff, any amendments? Hearing none. We have a full house, so we'll have no alternate voting. Public comment, this is a chance for anybody to speak on anything that is not on the agenda. Do we have anybody signed up? No, I presume as much. So we close the general public comment. Consent agenda consists only of approval of the January 4th, 2022 meeting minutes. Commissioners, any additions or corrections to the minutes? Tom? Would you maybe check with Natalie? She would know and make that correction, please.
We'll check that.
Thanks, Tom. Any other additions or corrections to the minutes? Staff, any additions? Okay, may I have a motion on the consent agenda? To approve? Okay, thank you. Do I have a second? Second by Lisa. All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The consent agenda is approved on a 5-0 vote. We have one business item tonight, item 6A, the Timnath Ranch 5th filing site plan. Kevin.
Thank you, Chairperson. All right. So as you had mentioned, this is the Timoth Ranch 5th filing site plan. This site is actually located south of Innovation Place, there in Timnath Ranch, just east of Club Drive, south of Harmony Road, highlighted there in blue, just north of the Timoth Ranch 8th filing. The zoning.
Excuse me, our screens, anybody screen on?
No,
No,
because that was on me. That's on me. I forgot to hit the extend displays. That's on me.
All right.
So I'll restart that. So it is south of Innovation Drive, east of Club Drive, south of Harmony Road. There on the north portion of the Timoth Ranch subdivision, just north of the Timoth Ranch 8th filing, highlighted there in blue. The zoning on this is commercial mixed use. This site plan proposals for 7 buildings ranging in size from just under 5,000 square feet to just over 11,600, and then just over 12,000 square feet on roughly 5.28 acres. 4 of the buildings will be 1 story tall, with the remaining 3 buildings being 2 stories tall. The buildings are intended to be utilized for medical and general offices. The site provides just over 2 acres of usable landscaping and open space, which is roughly 38% of the site, which exceeds the 25% required minimum, and 5% usable landscaping within the commercial and Harmony corridor. Part of the usable open space per Harmony corridor standards is a plaza area, which is on the west side of the site, and that contains a seating wall, 2 picnic tables, along with a pergolas. The required parking for the site is 213 spaces based off of 5 space per 1,000 for medical, and then 1 space per 400 for office, with the breakdown for 23,600 for medical, that equates to 118 spaces. And then the 1 per 400 square feet of office at 38, just over 38,000, equates to 95 spaces. This applicant is providing a total of 212 parking spaces, which includes 9 handicap spaces and 2 electric vehicle charging spaces per code. This site plan was reviewed against all of section 5.10 of the land use code for Harmony corridor standards. The site plan has been reviewed and approved by the design review committee as required by the land use code. The one exception that this site plan is asking for is a waiver from section 5.10.7.6 for building transparency. which requires 50% transparency on the primary front facade of the buildings. The justification was that with the additional transparency, office and medical uses would prohibit future users for the breakdown within the building, and then it would be less compatible with the residential to the south, but just by the architecture. The design review committee actually reviewed that and agreed with the applicant's request for a waiver from that requirement down to, I believe, about 38% of transparency is what they are providing. So with that, other than that, staff has reviewed this against the rest of the land use code, found it in conformance with architecture, site requirements, utilities, and landscaping. With us tonight is Courtney from TB Group, who has a brief presentation on her end. And then Courtney, if you want to just share screen, then you're good.
You bet. Can you all hear me okay? Okay,
Yes,
great.
thank you.
Yes, thank you. Good evening. Thank you so much for having us tonight. Thanks, Kevin. That was a great presentation. You pretty much covered my presentation, so I'm going to try to make this quick and maybe give you guys a little more of the fluff. I am Courtney Stazowitz. I am an associate with TB Group in Berthoud. We've been working on this project with the town since about 2019 and have gone through all the motions, all the steps, and think we have a really good product for Timnath. We believe that this would be a really good addition to the town and especially Timnath Ranch as it continues to develop and grow out. So let me go ahead and show this for you guys. All right, so oops. Just to kind of orient you, like Kevin said, we are on the northeast side of Timnath Ranch. We are just south of Innovate Place and east of Club Drive. We are zoned for commercial mixed use. And as you can see here, the lots to the north and east of us are also zoned the same. To the south of us, Timnath Ranch 8th filing is zoned, well, it's multifamily. So we actually think that this is a really good project and it's in a great location because of the connectivity abilities that it's going to provide for everyone in Timnath Ranch. As you can see, let's see what we've got here. Landscaping. You get a really good feel for just how much we have screened the buildings and buffered. To the south of the property, on Timnath Ranch 8th filing, we've actually got a really nice buffer screening provided already. So our goal there was to make sure that no one from Timnath Ranch 8th was going to have any issues with, viewing these buildings or anything like that. So I did want to show you guys some of the product types that we have. So we have 3 product types proposed for this property. And I think Kevin said that there were going to be 4 single stories and two stories. Either way, it's actually 3 single story buildings. So as you can see here, all the single story buildings are on the southeast corner of the project. Here's an example. Like Kevin said, we tried to create an architecture design that's aesthetically pleasing and which melds with the rest of Timnath Ranch. So we didn't want anything that was going to be really in your face and stand out. We want everything to kind of meld and mesh. Here is the 2-story model. And again, there are 3 buildings on the north side of the property that'll be 2 stories. And the last one is our funky L-shaped building. So again, same sort of design, but just obviously a larger building. This is an example of how much we've tried to create a site that's very accessible for anyone, whether you're driving onto the site or you're walking or potentially biking. As you can see on the southeast corner of the site, we've actually got a connection onto Timnath Ranch 8th filing. They've got a proposed sidewalk over there as well. So our idea is that if you wanted to walk or bike or whatever it may be from the south side of Timnath Ranch. You could literally go all the way from the south side to the north side without having to get onto the sidewalks of the more serious drives like Club Drive. We think that this is a really nice bonus for anyone living in Timnath Ranch. And not to mention the people who are going to be working in these buildings. Like Kevin said, these are medical and office buildings. So we have tried to create sites that are very easy to access for both people who may be living in Timnath Ranch and working here, and those people who are utilizing the offices and medical spaces. The orangish red spots are the bike parking spaces. So like I keep saying, if you bike, you can park. And lastly, to show you on this page, like Kevin said, we've got a really nice little gathering amenity plaza. We've provided some pergolas, picnic tables, and there's actually a seating wall on the west side. So our goal there was to create a space that people can use, whether they're employees on a break or they are patients or whatever it may be. Each building also has its own patio space for the same concept. So like I said, I wanted it to be short and sweet. So that's about it for me. But if you have any questions, I'd love to answer those now.
Thanks, Courtney. This is a site plan, so there is no public comment, even if there was any public here. This will go to council, I presume, because it's multiple buildings, unlike a
Correct.
single building
And-
site plan.
Yep, and the waiver also has to go to council.
Okay. I've got a couple, but let me bring it up here to the commissioners first. Questions for Courtney, commissioners. Tom.
I've got a question. On your landscaping plan, you mentioned the 8 filing trees that are along here, but you're showing along the south side of the property a non-irrigated native seed. And then amongst the trees that are planted from the 8 filing, you're showing smooth river cobble. I'm just a little concerned that there's no irrigation to support those trees from the north, and you're putting cobble all around their bases. How are you going to be protective of that landscaping and those large trees that are proposed for Timnath Ranch 5 and the 8 filing?
Sure, let me go back to that sheet for you. Okay, so right down along here, right? Can you see my cursor? Okay. My understanding is, and correct me if I'm not understanding your question, but Timnath Ranch 8th filing is going to be fully irrigated. So those trees will definitely have irrigation straight to their roots. Is that kind of what you were asking?
Yeah, it looks like all of those trees that are kind of shaded in there are all in the cobble bed in the unirrigated side of your property. It really doesn't show anything there. I'm just concerned if the irrigation only comes from the south and not from your side of the fence, those trees are not going to survive.
Sure. So yeah, the irrigation is on the south side of the property. These trees should be okay, especially after establishment. So at least with non-irrigated native seed, we always establish for the first couple of years. And then within that non-irrigated native seed, we usually still run drip to those trees. So they do get water, especially when we have really bad droughts, a dry spell, things like that. So does that kind of help?
Yeah, I think with the drought, I just want to make sure that you know, on approval, that you're being protective of that landscaping. Because
yeah, yep. I'll make sure that that definitely happens. But yeah, that's usually the way we run it.
And then a question for you, Kevin. This is commercial mixed use. How is that different from commercial 1 or commercial 2?
So commercial mixed use typically has it's got different uses allowable for it, but it's typically you have to have more than one primary use. So this whole property being commercial mixed use allows for different types of uses to be within the property itself and then the whole zoning district as a whole. So they are proposing two different uses with this, medical and general office, and then the rest of the commercial mixed use can have other types of retailers, things like that. But generally the commercial mixed use is set up for multiple types of uses.
And would commercial 2 be just the same, only with one use?
So we don't have a commercial 2, we have CC, community commercial.
Uh-huh.
Community commercial would typically just be your one use. So community commercial is the just to the north of us here with Neenan, that's community commercial. At the time, the Panda Express, Taco Bell, all of those are community commercial to where there's on the property, there is one use. There's one building, there's one use within that. So community commercial does typically set up just for one use on the property.
Okay, thanks.
Eric, I looked over your way. I had a feeling maybe you related to what Tom was
In
asking.
regard to the non-irrigated turf, Tom, it's standard practice to drip irrigate trees in those areas where there's no overhead water for native grass. And I'm sure that the town's got permit requirements and sign off and warranties in a year. So I wouldn't have any concern about that. Ultimately, the developer's got to guarantee the establishment of those things. So
Yeah,
I
it's
know
just
he's
that
gonna
they're
drive
right on
those
the
to
line,
trees.
and I worry that
yeah,
they're gonna point
wouldn't-
fingers.
I wouldn't be too concerned if it were me, but that's just my thoughts on that. So.
Thanks.
Eric, while you're on, anything else on this? Okay, Commissioners, Robert?
I do have a couple questions, Courtney. I appreciate your presentation, and Kevin as well. Can you talk a little bit more about the requested waiver, kind of what the thought process is there? And I know one of the justifications was, future resale or transition to other uses. Can you just help us understand what the thought process is there?
I can try. Yeah, I'm by no means an architect, but I will give it my best. I also think John Mosier is in the audience with you guys tonight, so he may have a better idea than me, but I'm not totally sure. But I will start at least. So if I remember correctly, nope. John Mosier, do you want to try? I can try and pull up my.
Take it
I'm
away.
a landscape architect, not an architect. I can pull up the document if you want and read it, but you have to give me just a second.
I think he's got it, Courtney, in case you're not
Goodness.
seeing him on the camera.
Okay.
No, that one's not going.
We're trying to get the microphone adjusted.
Oh, there we go. No, you got it.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me okay? All right, good.
Now we can.
I'm John Mosier. I'm with Landmark Homes, and we're here on behalf of the owner of this property. We don't actually own it, but we're just here on behalf. Thanks for having me and everybody else, I guess, right? I'll attempt to answer this too. What happens when you're doing a commercial building with a lot of glass on the front, it's hard to make a demising line to end in a good spot. And so, if it's all glass, you end up with weird shaped places in the long run. So we're just trying to protect that so that as offices evolve, sometimes people want more space, want less space, and it just gives us a little better chance to have it break in a good spot. Probably the bigger reason is for it to fit in architecturally with the residential nature of the buildings to the south, those multifamily townhome units down there, as well as the rest of Timnath Ranch, really. Does that answer your question?
It does. I appreciate that. Now, when we're talking the primary face, this will be on all 7 buildings, the face that faces the parking lot. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so the faces that, will either face the mixed use, or I'm sorry, the multifamily to the south, and then eventually the stuff that'll come in closer to Harmony. What's the appeal going to look like there from that side?
Can you flip through to the elevations? I think it's, I don't think Courtney has that, but I
Yeah, I
thought I
think
saw it.
If
I think
you,
it's Kevin.
yeah, if you stop sharing, Courtney, I can throw it up.
Stop share.
We did take that into consideration so that the back of the buildings don't look like typical commercial backs of buildings. They look more like a house would, a residential property. If you see, there's quite a bit of glass on the back as well.
Yeah, so Tom, the second one down here, that's the south elevation. That's what you would see from the south side with that Timnath Ranch 8th. There's still 31% transparency with that, just with the windows and the glazing that they have there from that standpoint.
It's really four-sided architecture all the way around. That makes sense.
One thing I've noticed in the commercial development just next to us here where Backyard Bird is and Domino's and whatnot. We have a similar thing here, although what faces Harmony actually isn't quite as appealing as what you've done here. But on that one, I noticed something that's real prominent is the utility portal. Has there been any consideration here and have those?
So the project to the north was actually done under different standards. So that was actually when we had our interim standards. We didn't quite fully have a DRC putting together standards at that time. So that's why that one looks just slightly different. Excuse me. With seeing utilities and things like that. So our new design criteria does talk about screening of utilities, screen walls, things like that, to where if you can actually, I'll zoom in a little bit if it will zoom for me. If you see up here on the top here, Robert, or even down on this side, that's actually a screen wall for some mechanical units. So there are screening requirements for utilities, mechanical units, things like that with our new criteria that doesn't go into the transparency aspect of it.
Good. I appreciate that those standards have improved a little bit there. Yep. I also appreciate the 38% open space landscape up above the requirement. Can we talk a little bit about review criteria 6 and just that's the traffic?
Yep.
And just a little bit, there wasn't any specific information other than it had been reviewed. But certainly any background, what the traffic impact, any mitigation that's going into this,
yep.
what that looks like.
So the Timoth Ranch 5th filing, when it was originally platted, had called out for larger office users such as like an HP, but not quite on that side, Intel, things like that. So when Timnath Ranch 5th filing with Innovate Place was actually platted and designed, there was actually a larger traffic demand that was coming from Innovate Place. So with this, and then there was also some other, smaller retail users like this. So when they submitted, there was a traffic compliance letter that basically is that they are in compliance with an approved traffic plan or traffic master plan that was done for the 5th filing. And this actually would be a little bit less than what was originally anticipated for this area.
Okay. Just my last comment is complimenting Courtney and others on thinking about the sidewalk connectivity with the other filings. That sounds really neat to be able to traverse without using the roadway there. So
Thank you.
Yep. That's all I have.
Other commissioners? Jeremy, anything? Lisa? Okay. The parking, I don't want to be nitpicking. Is there technically a waiver because we're all of one space down from the recommended?
No, there is not.
That's,
there is a reduction allowance that town staff can approve.
okay, that's what I thought. I just, knowing council's sensitivity to parking. Will there be parking out on the street as well? Is that allowable if necessary?
I can see Don's ears.
I think
Perked up
that's the Innovate.
Yep.
There probably is parking allowed on that.
Parking would be allowed, but there's not anticipated with their parking calculation.
That's what I would think too.
Yep.
I just wasn't curious.
No,
nothing on Club.
nothing on Club. Innovate would have the allowance for it, but their parking calculations didn't anticipate anything on Innovate Place.
And John or Courtney, how is this property managed? Is there a central management or will there be an association of sorts? I'm talking about the landscaping and other common amenities.
Yeah, there will definitely be a property manager type on here. It could be the owner doing it themselves. It could also be a property management company. That hasn't really been decided yet how that's going to go, but it'll definitely be as one property will all be maintained together.
Is that within just for education purposes, is that within the purview of the town or is that strictly?
That would be up to
Owner's
them
call.
if they wanted to form their own business association to handle all of the maintenance, things like that. That would be up to them to provide. That's not anything the town would have to approve.
Okay. Don, anything from your standpoint? Okay. Any last thoughts, commissioners? Very good. All right. At this point, I need a motion on business item 6A, the Timnath Ranch fifth filing site plan. We have a motion to approve by Lisa. Do I have a second?
Second?
Second by Marty. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. John, Courtney, welcome to Timnath.
Thank you.
Thank you. Reports. I've introduced everybody to Jeremy Holt, our new member, our newest alternate. Robert Oxmacher has moved up here to the adults table, if you will. The other thing I would share, I don't know if anybody was watching Tuesday night's council meeting. Council approved, I think is it called phase 3 of the community park or an additional phase?
Oh,
of
the programming for
Yeah.
the additional amenities. So
programming, yes.
I don't know if we're calling it phase 3 yet, but it's basically it's more amenitizing the community park because there's not a new phase going to it. It's not an expansion. There's just additional amenities
Yeah.
being programmed for the park.
Well, it was a splash pad, basketball court, which looks to me like almost a full-size court, 2 tennis courts, and near and dear to my heart.
No
6
pickleball courts. No pickleball courts.
What? It's going to change? I quit. 6 pickleball courts.
Yep.
So I'm anticipating the inaugural Timnath Pickleball Open this fall. Right, Don? Thank you very much. I accept. Commissioners, any other thing under reports? Nothing? Okay, staff.
Nope. Other than you hit it, I'd like to welcome Jeremy to the group here. We did have 2 applicants that Phil and I and Matt actually interviewed. Jeremy being one of them. Jeremy actually went through Citizens Academy with Tom, so we felt Jeremy was going to be a great addition to the Planning Commission here with having a little bit more in depth into the town workings. So just want to invite him and welcome him to these lovely Tuesday night meetings with us. Other than that, I don't believe we have anything else.
Do you know if we'll have a meeting 2 weeks? Well, not 2 weeks hence.
3 weeks.
3 weeks hence, 1st of April.
Do not know that yet.
Anybody know whether they'll not be here? At this
I don't know if I want to put that much blood pressure on Robert. Have a meeting on the night where you're just waiting to see what happens.
All right, Don, any questions for Don? Anybody? Okay. Chad, anything? Nope. All right, with that, do I have a motion to adjourn? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed?